So I was listening to a podcast on my train journey, and it was talking about karmic relationships, and it kind of really made sense to me. It felt like everything kind of clicked and made sense. So it's now obviously inspired me to talk about karmic relationships. And I think my perspective as a woman on karmic relationships might help other women. So basically, karmic relationships can be friends, work colleagues, family members, or a romantic relationship. And essentially, it's the idea that you meet someone and you don't know them very well and you have like an instant click with somebody. So that might be like, wow, I feel like I know this person, I've known this person years. Or you might have a really intense relationship with a family member. You're like, oh, they just get me, or a friend or a work colleague, or obviously romantic. Now, from the perspective of a woman, women are socially conditioned to find these connections. So we watch rom-coms where we're meant to have this spark, this really intense moment with somebody, or we see films where like somebody has the ultimate best friend, like the best friendship group, like two girls are inseparable or whatever. We've seen all of these like 90s and noughties movies. And I think what happens is women then start to think, oh, this is it. This is something really significant in my life. And then when something goes wrong, for example, when the person makes them question their worth, or they say that they're not available, or they're not putting action in, or they're making you question your actions, whether it be romantic or a friend, then as a woman you start to go, oh, I've done something wrong. I'm stupid. I was naive. I was too trusting. But what this podcast was explaining about karmic relationships is that, first of all, you're not an idiot for having a karmic relationship or getting involved in one, or a karmic pattern, because basically the whole point is that you're meant to get involved in them, because it is, in a nutshell, your test, but it's a test of things that you think you have healed. So a part of you that thinks, I won't take breadcrumbs off people anymore. I won't take disrespect. I have great self-worth. I'm not people-pleasing anymore. I'm going to set boundaries. What happens is these karmic people or these karmic cycles come into your life to test whether that's true. And they feel incredibly intense. And you believe that that's meant to be something significant. Like, for example, you think that you've met somebody and it's a life-changing experience. And in that moment of time, it actually is a life-changing experience. You're not wrong, you're not stupid, you're not crazy for thinking that way. But it's life-changing because it's asking you to change. And I think what happens is, after you kind of go through these cycles and you get rid of those karmic kind of connections, you start to feel very guarded. And this is my perspective as a woman. I really don't have any understanding of men's thought patterns, so I'm just not even going to go into that. But yeah, as a woman, you start to then feel your guard goes up and you think, oh, I'm silly and whatever. But the plot twist to karmic relationships is that that place where you were really vulnerable and trusting was a really good place. You were meant to connect with that. You were meant to have that life-changing moment because you were meant to be tested and grow. But the plot twist is that you're meant to still stay vulnerable, because it's that vulnerability that will get you nearer to where you actually need to be. So if it's a friendship that's going to be really significant that you're working towards, whether it's a relationship with a family member or whether it's a romantic relationship, you need to it's kind of like horse racing. And you know, when they do the hurdles, it's like you have to get over that hurdle but still stay open and vulnerable, which is terrifying. But staying in that space, that energy, helps you bring in something that is going to be nearer to what you've asked for. So if you're asking for a really significant romantic relationship, then these karmic relationships are testing, are you going to keep your boundaries? Are you going to stay in your energy? Are you going to put yourself first? If it's with friendships and you people please, you know, you'll be tested with a friendship where they're trying to ask you to people please again. Are you still going to do that? But when you hold firm on your boundaries, then you allow the next best thing to come in. So sometimes, weirdly, we have to experience these things and then surrender to the fact that you don't know the plan. but the universe knows your plan and it's getting you nearer to it. So although you feel resentful that you had to go through this experience or that it was painful for you, it's actually something you should be really grateful for. So you have to have gratitude. You have to say, you gave me a beautiful moment in my life, a beautiful experience, a beautiful connection, and I'm thankful for it, but it's clearly not meant to stay. So I just make the decision to let it go. And it's a difficult thing to do, but on the other side is more stability, is more growth. It's you learning about yourself. And also when you stick up for yourself, you're bringing that back into your energy. You're saying, I actually pick me and I'll keep picking me. And so it really doesn't matter. It's not actually, the karmic relationships are not actually about the person. It's about you. And it's about you backing you. Which seems strange because as women, we want to romanticize every experience in our life. And sometimes it feels deep, but it actually isn't that deep. So if you have the ability to reframe it as, actually, this was a lesson to get me nearer to where I need to be. It wasn't a punishment. It was actually an opportunity for me to step up for me. Then it can make something that feels a little bit painful a little bit easier to let go of. So I hope that helps.